Epic Gaming Night is made possible by the support of patrons like you. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night podcast, a podcast about the stories and relationships board games create. I'm your host, Ray Candy, and with me as always is Matt.
Hello?
And Rob.
Oh, come on. Hello?
Matt's goal is to make himself sound like less excited every single podcast, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Or just bewildered. Maybe it's bewildered, just like, oh
I
my
don't
goodness, it's podcast time again.
Got to do the anti-hype. Roy's like, man, hype. And I'm just like, no, man, let's chill out for a minute.
It's kind of crazy because I have to keep myself hyped or I'm going to like fall asleep because I keep like staying up too late editing videos and crap. So
That's interesting.
Or I could just go, if I was as chill as you are, Matt, I'd probably just be in the floor over here. So there's that.
Yeah. that's basically my day. I think I stayed in bed till, like maybe 1.
Living the dream.
Like I got out to like feed the dog and use the bathroom and occasional things, but mostly it was just back to bed to lay down to watch.
Fun thing about having children is no matter how late you stay up, you don't get to sleep.
They don't care.
They literally don't care. So, good times. How's things going? How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing good, man. I am working while podcasting. So
whistling while you
I'm
work.
Whistle while I work. Yeah, so everything's going good, man. Just busy, spending money. Don't say anything. So
keep it on the down low.
Bro, for real though, you better keep this on the down low.
Awesome.
Did not, and I know we'll talk about it later, but did not expect to do what I did today. Did not wake up at all thinking this is going to happen. And
as a primer, this episode is about Kickstarter games. So, but before we talk about Kickstarter games, or a second before we talk about some Kickstarter games, I want to talk about a thing that Rob actually messaged me about this, and I was like, what? That's awesome. They are making a Dungeons and Dragons remake of Betrayal at House on the Hill. It's called like Betrayal at
Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
So,
at first I didn't think it was real.
But you saw it on Amazon, right?
No. I saw. You know who freaking?
Did you watch?
It's Timothy Gay, because he doesn't do anything else but post stuff on Board Game Geek.
Gotcha.
I swear, if I want to know anything about anything now, just become friends with Gay on Facebook. And anytime he posts a Board Game Geek, so you got to like Board Game Geek and Timothy. And once you do that, you'll hear about all the good games before anybody else.
It's funny because we did a favorite game Friday about games to play at work, and Tim said, work? I don't work, I just game. I'm like, obviously, that's pretty much makes sense. Nice. But anyway, this is super interesting because it's going to have the D&D fantasy theme on it with all the different like D&D characters. I wonder like how good it's going to be, like if they're going to like strengthen up the scenarios and have the stories be like super legit, or if it's going to be like majority of Rest of Betrayal is, and sometimes it's great and sometimes it's just like, huh, that was interesting. But with Betrayal, it's always what you make it anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So if you take it too seriously, then you're playing it the wrong way, in my opinion, because I love Betrayal at House on the Hill, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh my goodness, we played the scenario and they had an unfair advantage against us and blah, blah. But, I mean, you're in a haunted house. It happens sometimes. So.
I feel like since it's D&D themed, you'll probably see a bit more combat, as opposed to just being like, oh, somebody summoned some demons. Take the shiny, glittery silver coin over to the terrarium and then bury it 3 feet behind the plant, and then the portal closes, and then you have to escape. It's just going to be like, hey, man, you got a silver sword? Fight that thing.
I hope there's still a lot of more of like the weird pick up and deliver missions and things like that.
Well, there probably will be. I just feel like it'll be less of like just that sort of very clunky betrayal style
Yeah.
things that they have.
That's awesome, though. I'm definitely interested to see how it goes. I'm always so worried about board games put out by Wizards of the Coast because, like, they literally don't care about their component quality as much as other companies do. Like the Arena of the Planeswalkers stuff is really cool, but it's like really cheap. Like, it's a card game based off Magic the Gathering, but the cards are super flimsy and not nearly the quality as Magic the Gathering cards.
Wait, I'm sorry,
like,
so they have a card game based off of a card game?
they have a board game based off of a card game, but it
sorry,
has
I
cards
misheard.
in it.
I was like, what?
You've seen us play
Millennium
Arena of the
Blades!
Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they redid Robo Rally, and I heard that the mechanics are really good in the redone version of Robo Rally, but the components make it so bad that people are just not recommending the game because the quality of like the card stock and the different things are subpar. So I'm hoping since this isn't necessarily a straight up Hasbro game, since it's actually a well, it doesn't really matter, Avalon Hill or whatever, their games are not super crazy either. So they gotta stop cutting corners, guys. Gotta stop cutting corners. Make it awesome.
Well, it's also D&D themed, so
right.
I mean, what was the Tyrants of the Underdark, and what was that one you played with the Giants?
Completely different companies. Like
really?
Tyrants of the Underdark is Gale Force 9, and Assault of the Giants is why am I losing it? WizKids. So like these other companies know how to make like good components. I mean, WizKids sometimes is but depending on the company, but I think the component quality sometimes for these Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, Avalon Hill games is not as good as it should be. But hopefully they can make it epic. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, since Matt just shoved pizza in his face, he has to talk about this next thing on our news article here.
Oh, so since we're talking about Kickstarter that launched today, Lords of Hellas. Mm-hmm. It is a pretty solid-looking minis game.
It looks beautiful.
It's a little pricey. It's very pretty. It's very pretty. I have noticed that there's this certain trend, especially with me in Kickstarters. I'm just like, oh, look, the minis are cool. I should get this game, regardless of what it plays like.
That's what they're betting on, or that's what they're hoping on half the time.
Yeah, but like, so this game, one of the reasons that I'm backing it as opposed to some of the other minis games that I haven't backed is the gameplay seems pretty solid. It's kind of an area control game, but there's also other ways to win. So it's not just like, oh, push your opponent's stuff around. Haha. It's, you can complete quests, you can fight monsters, you can erect shrines and try to do just general worships and stuff like that. And it's really cool. They have this really neat system where there are monuments that are placed on the board to different Greek gods. And they're pretty huge, and then you can do things to build them over the course of the game, and so the god statues are all like modular and stuff, and it's really neat. The other thing is this game, you might think has like, oh, cool, Greek god theme. It's going to be very sort of Grecian and ancient looking, but it's actually not.
Yeah.
The way they're choosing to theme it, which I don't like, is long time ago, maybe aliens came down and gave everybody electricity and stuff, and this is like an alternative time. I'm like, nah, how about this? It's just, for some odd reason, ancient Greece, lots of technology, crazy stuff, robot minotaurs, it doesn't matter, man. like that's all I want. I need you to explain it with some like very sort of like, oh, looky here, but I don't know.
Well, that's where the Greek economy went to crap, is they spent all of their money
on all the technology,
this alien technology.
Man. Yeah, man.
And they just haven't been able to recover since then.
But yeah, so the game looks pretty good, looks pretty solid. So I'm backing it. I think Rob is also backing it.
Well, Roy can tell you I backed it because Roy is my LinkedIn.
Stalking Rob on the.
Yeah. Matt, we had a text conversation, and Rob said he kickstarted 2 games, and Matt was like, "Oh, what's the other game you kickstarted?" And I replied with the answer before Rob could.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But I
It's
don't know.
all
This
good.
game looks pretty good.
It looks more than pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah.
It looks amazing, and I hope
it looks
if the
amazing.
game plays as good as it looks, it's gonna be great. But
It's going to be.
And so the other thing too, the company who's doing this is a miniatures company first. So they did the minis for Cry Havoc and a lot of other games. Like I think Cry Havoc was one of their first ones. And they kickstarted a game earlier this year, and I don't remember the name of it.
Oh, it was that video game.
Dawnfall.
No, it's that video game that wore. It was based off of a famous video game.
Oh, This War of Mine. Yeah, they also made that one. But they did another one called like Dawnfall something. I don't know. But that was, they collaborated with a guy who did Cry Havoc and did Hiroshima Hex and made that game.
Yeah.
And it also had some really pretty minis. And I was like, yeah. But this was the one that kind of piques my interest more than the others. So, yeah. Kickstarter games.
Boom.
awesome. Yeah.
It looks, and I didn't. Is this going to be a legacy game? Because
I think
you see that new unlock?
Yeah.
Where it could be like.
I think
as soon as I saw that, Matt, if you could explain this, that would be fantastic. But I will say this: as soon as I saw that comes out in the third secret envelope for the winner of third game, and it's already unlocked. As soon as I saw that, I was like, okay, here's my money. I literally hit the evil green button right then and there. So, take it away.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, what were you going to say, Matt? I need you to explain it to me.
I just assumed it was going to be based around a single-player campaign, maybe.
Okay.
But I probably might have just misread.
Oh, like solo play?
Yeah. Or I might have just misread what the actual stretch goal was. Or whatever, but yeah, man, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it is played over multiple games where you're trying to erect a statue and get it to be bigger and bigger. I don't know how it would play, but hey, whatever. We'll see.
The next thing on the list for news is that the Deception Murder Hong Kong expansion is supposed to go on Kickstarter today, and I wish we could talk about it more, but it's not up yet. So by the time you're listening to this...
Wait, haha, it's here now.
Is it up here right now?
It's got 5 backers.
Dude!
It literally just showed up.
First responders, literally Deception Murder Hong Kong expansion. What's it called?
It is called Deception Undercover Allies.
Nice. Undercover Allies.
The base game looks to be $24. There's 50 new means cards, 80 new clue cards, 2 new rolls, 2 more badge tokens, 5 new scene tiles, and a new event.
Only $24.
Yeah. So there's another one.
They'll get money.
$37. You get theme packs, which are I guess cards that are themed based off North America, Western Europe, and Southern Europe theme cards. So like different things from those particular regionalities and all that stuff. So pretty good. But it's out. Now, just now. First reporting 9
on
backers coming in right now. Guess I'll go ahead and see if I can get in top 10. Oh, it's not free shipping. $6 shipping.
Awesome.
Womp womp.
I'm trying to figure out how to actually get to the page. Internet is hard.
Let me find it. And send it to you through
my
Skype.
computer runs slightly slow when I'm trying to run the podcast with all this other stuff. No excuses. But yeah, definitely excited to learn more about that. As far as social deduction goes, like Deception Murder Hong Kong is by far my favorite. Like, I don't know, I've played it with the in-laws, I've played it with friends, I've played it with hardcore gamers, I played it with all the people, and it's still great. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just
love it.
Pretty cool. So hopefully they do great on their thing, and yeah, make sure to check that out.
I don't know.
Maybe we'll have more to say about that even later.
Momentarily.
Chat saying that's an insta buy.
Yeah, man.
Oh man, I haven't even turned on that yet.
I know, man. You doing work. You turn on chat, you're gonna be lost.
Oh man, it's up to 18 backers, guys. I'm
Although
sure.
Adam did say the board for Lords of Hellas is pretty ethnos level. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, man. It is at least as good as Ethnos. At least.
No,
That's quality.
everything is better. Yes, it's at least as good as Ethnos. You know why? Because Ethnos is the standard for anything. Like if you make anything less than Ethnos, you basically have copy paper that you drew on. Ethnos is, it's blah. So anything is at least Ethnos. Sure, I'll give you that.
Ooh, I like the cover for the box
Yeah.
for Deception, and it comes with a banana clue card. How is there not already a banana? I don't understand. 2 new roles, allowing up to 14 players. Crazy.
Yes, that's what we need. More players.
Ooh, and new
get
scene
more.
tiles. That'll be cool to have new scene tiles.
Yeah, I wish they would have added another cause of death.
Another cause of
But-
death one and another like locations one.
I just wish they
Yeah,
had a
that'd
cause
be
of
good.
death one that just said weird stuff happened.
Bro, that would be hilarious if it said weird stuff.
Just because, well, like there's one that's like you died from starvation, and there's literally nothing on the cause of death card that correlates to starvation at all. So you're just like, great. How do I point them in this direction? I don't know. I really don't. I just have to go, I guess, just food heavy, but they're going to be like, nah, nobody's starved if there's all that food there. Come on.
Nice.
Anyhow.
Well, sometimes the struggle is real when
Yeah.
figuring out who the person is.
Bro, tell me about it.
Awesome. The next one
Sweet.
is another thing that we can get excited and rage about. Last week was Cool Stuff Inc. This week, Asmodee announced that they are going. So normally, board game publishers send their games to distributors that then send them out to all the different stores. Asmodee announced that they're going to go distribution exclusively with Alliance. So if you're a game store that doesn't use Alliance, then it's going to be hard for you to get. Well, you won't be able to get any Asmodee games, and you'll basically have to switch over to Alliance if you want to still take Asmodee games, which might not be as big of a deal if Asmodee didn't like gobble up every single like big box board game. They went and got Ticket to Ride and Settlers of Catan. They have everything basically. So, what do you guys think about this?
I'll let you guys go
overall?
first. Let me finish this because it's going to make me upset. So let me finish this.
I think I wonder. I would really like to talk to a like game store about this and see how much. Like, I mean, if you're a game store and you already use Alliance, maybe that's cool. But maybe
Not
Alliance
us.
warehouses.
It's not going to help us.
Yeah, it's not. This is in no way going to help any consumer ever at all.
Well, in the South, for example, because I'm sorry, I'll just go ahead and get into it. We talked to that lady from Haba. And one of the things that she was complaining about is she was like, man, tell your game stores to take the Southern blah, 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 because that's who we have to sell to, because that's who the Southern game retail stores, more or less work with. This one distributor who covers like the Southeast. Because we were asking, I remember there's that place over there by, what's that strip? I can't remember. It's off of Knollwood and Stratford. There's that whole place that's got toys and stuff like that. You can go in there, you can play with the toys. It's for kids. They have that whole area and no Haba games. And that's a perfect store for Haba games. And we talked to her about that, and she was like, yeah, that's because they don't carry my distributor. Because in the South, they use this distributor. So we can expect now with that to see even less of already the Slim. Like, I don't think it'll necessarily affect Barnes & Nobles because they're on a national scale.
Right.
But some of these other stores, like I could see that place that you really like in Raleigh. I could see that possibly getting affected. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I
I'm
wonder
totally upset with
where all the warehouses for Alliance are, like if they're super far away. Like maybe you're a game store and you use a specific distributor just because they were closer by, so you knew that you could order games and get them quicker if you ordered from the specific distributor, so you were working with them. But now if they cut out all the Asmodee games, I mean, Asmodee has a pretty fair chunk or pretty large chunk of the tabletop gaming market, and they have a lot of the games that are like those evergreen games that just continue to sell, like your classics, you know. So it's like if you're a game store, you really need those classics to like be able to like show off the board gaming hobby, you know. If you're a game store that sells board games, well, we sell board games, but since we don't have Alliance, we don't sell Ticket to Ride or Settlers of Catan, you know. So if you want any of those old school gateway games, you can't come looking for those here. So I don't know. I'm really not sure how deep it goes, but it's obviously a thing of them trying to consolidate where they have their stock of games and trying to get extra deals and sell their games for more just to get exclusive stuff. It's a money thing. So.
Yep.
It's a stupid thing. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. Like, you're a freaking board game company. You're not Walmart. Don't try to become the Walmart of this whole industry. Like, what's the point of that? You don't buy... And this is my negligence because I don't know the distribution of Alliance. So this is me just ranting because I like to rant, okay? So let's just get that out of the way. But at the same time... we have spoken with other distributors and already know that certain distributors only distribute in certain areas and certain companies only cover certain regions, right? We already know that. We've already talked to those people about that. And so why are you now going to an exclusive distributor? And you also made announcements last year about online sales, how you're going to start cracking down on online sales, and now you're cracking down on distribution and where it's going. To me, where is the smart business plan in that? Who cares if you have one distributor that's going to save you, let's say, X million dollars because they're going to cut you a deal on getting it to where it can go? When you're cutting out X million customers, like, how is that worth it? I would love to have a business conversation. And I imagine if I did, I would be shut down and shut up, and I'd walk around saying, "You're the smartest, most beautiful man I've ever met, Christian Peterson. You're great. You know what you're doing." But I haven't had that conversation yet. So to me, I don't realize or see where it's coming from. I just think it sucks. I think it's stupid. I think it's going to hurt people like us. And it's just reiterating the fact that online is the way to go. Amazon. You want to buy a board game? Go to Amazon.
Another thing that they did with this announcement is that they said that this goes into effect like the beginning of July, and at the end of June, they're going to be announcing a new, like they're going to be redoing their retailer thing. So, are they going to be making it worse? Are they going to be loosening up on it a little bit? I'm really not quite sure. So, another thing that I didn't know is that Cool Mini or Not also went down to only 3 distributors. So, They still have Alliance as part of theirs, but I think there's 5 different big distributors, and they got rid of like 2 of them or whatever. So as the distributors that lost Cool Mini or Not and Asmodee, like they're basically just putting you out of business as a warehouse to ship out games. So I guess they're just trying to cut out the competition, you know?
Yeah.
It's dumb.
I mean, so Pascal in chat asks an interesting question. He says, wonder if Alliance is going to be an Asmodee takeover target? If they're going to go exclusive, try to generate revenue for them, and then buy stake in company. It seems distinctly possible. I don't know how big Alliance
is. It even worth it?
I mean, but if they have their own distribution network for their games, yeah.
Yeah, and since they're so big, if they buy out the distribution where they own it, and then all the game stores really have to use Alliance to be able to be part of the industry, but then Asmodee is also the one distributing the other people's games to people.
Yeah,
then it's
so they're
like,
now taking a cut from other people's board games.
Yeah, then they can kind of
basically
choke out all the competition if they want to. Like they could literally just be like, "Hey, we're not going to distribute your game because whatever reason." and everybody else is using Alliance already because that's the only place you can get majority of the games. So
the thing that I think is
Stupid.
really interesting to see is I feel like we're leaving the golden age of board games and moving steadily into the golden plateau of board games,
the
where we just stagnate.
dystopian future of board games.
Yeah, because it's just like, so everybody's consolidating power, right? So Asmodee's buying all their people and they're becoming exclusive with certain distributors and stuff, and they're like, cool, we're making a big power play and push for this. And Cool Mini's like, man, we got to get on this bandwagon because if we don't, we're going to get left behind. So they're doing roughly the same thing. And so you see sort of big corporations try to come up to fight each other, and then what's left in the cracks? Just all the small companies and us going, please no, I can only buy so many $100 board games, guys. Chill out.
Think about the consumers, please. We just want to play your games and have fun. And they're like, but money. Yeah. And we're like, okay, we'll go play something completely different. But hey,
It's
good time.
I feel like
Oh.
if the hobby stagnates, there's no like forward room for them to grow. So effectively, if they're jumping the gun too quickly, it's just going to cause them problems in the long run. So,
And I think they are.
we'll see.
Because what are we talking about? What's the industry? Is board games over a $10 billion industry?
I have no idea.
I don't think it's at 10 billion. All right. And 10 billion to us, of course, is a lot of money, right? But when you talk about the top industries, when you talk about, what do they say? There's always four. If you can make it in these four, you do well. Home, food, clothing, and transportation. If you can make it in those four, you're going to do well, because those are $100 billion industries, right? I don't think board games justify this need of this huge mega takeover yet. I think what they're doing is hurting themselves more than helping themselves. It's not like the need is so great. The thing that's been so great about the board gaming hobby recently, in my opinion, has been all the amazing ideas, inventions, and concepts that have come out for new games.
Yeah.
Not the fact that there's a Walmart of board games. And I think they're making this way too quickly, way too soon, because board games, if you really think about it, it's an art, right? It is an art. It takes a lot of work and a lot of art to put the design together, the concept together, everything that has to happen. And it's like they're trying to make one house that can fit all that stuff. And that's a lot of power. I mean, how many amazing ideas are going to get shot down because they don't fit the look, per se, that this house is looking for? I think they're getting way too ahead of themselves. And I think you hit the nail on the head, Matt, when you said plateau, because I think we're going to start to see, and it's not because the creativity is not there. The creativity is there. It's going to be because these companies and this company is just going to say, nope, we need to do this because we already have 70 games coming out on our lines this year. So we're going to keep pushing yours back. And yeah, I think, anyway, I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm flustered.
Yeah. Well, but it's like if they think they're if they think of themselves as like a very large, venerable powerhouse, it's just like, okay, cool. Just make your own distribution company. Like if you think you're that big, just do that to push your modus forward. But instead, I don't know. It's very strange. It's going to be interesting to watch and see how everything pans out over the next probably year or two.
I think it's going to be frustrating. I think interesting is a nice word. I think you're being nice. Man, I think it's going to be very frustrating.
Kickstarter is still here.
Yep.
Bro, Kickstarter is still here, and they're a lifesaver. But if we've learned anything from just the transactions that have happened in the past couple years for other companies, such as Plaid Hat and other stuff like that, I mean, look at our good friend Emerson. Mm-hmm. His game is now coming out. And when did he say he told us he had the conception for this? Was it like 3 or 4 years ago for Spice Road?
Like that.
And it's been done for a while?
Yep.
He said it was one of his first games that he had done.
Yeah.
And it's just now coming out. Now imagine when he's got another game and you have this company who's got 10 parent heads or 10 different groups that they could possibly distribute it with, but all those groups now have like 4 or 5 games ahead of them per group. And what would you say? Let's just take a company like Days of Wonder. How many games a year do they release? Like 3 or 4 or something like that? So you're talking about pushing it back even further. You're talking about trying to find a company that can best represent you, and then see where you are in their distribution list. How fair is that? How is that helping anybody? It's not. I tell you what, it's not helping the consumer at all. They're trying to make it something that it's not. It's not there yet. It doesn't make enough money yet.
So what you're trying to say is that Asmodee is bringing on the board game apocalypse, as they have their 10 studios and they're the one board game company, and they have the anti-board game sitting at the top of the board game apocalypse. No, I'm just kidding. So
I don't know if it's necessarily the board game apocalypse, because at the end of the day, Fantasy Flight and Asmodee, they make great games. They really do.
Yeah.
I'm not frustrated with them as a design studio or anything like that. So I don't know if it's necessarily the apocalypse. But I think what it is the apocalypse for is maybe the small designer and that small company and that startup company. I think it's the apocalypse for like a NASCAR Games, where we're going to start to see people like Emerson, just like we recently saw with Eric Lang. They're going to have to sign on with companies to be able to get their games going. And then is that necessarily fair? Because what you're doing is you're eliminating capitalism and you're eliminating the free market. Possibly, I don't know, but possibly you're eliminating the free market, so these people can then get their games distributed, because they'd rather sign with somebody than not have any distribution at all. And I don't like that. I think it's dumb.
I was always curious if, like, how well do you think Emerson would fare if he would have put Spice Road on Kickstarter? Because I've seen that it's generated a lot of hype for pre-orders and stuff, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. But is it because of like the studio he's coming through, or because it's Emerson, or because people are looking at the game and saying, hey, this actually looks like a cool game? Because it's like, I like to follow designers and look at what they do, as opposed to the companies that make games, because companies can make bad games regardless of
absolutely
look
at
who they are.
Freaking Rob Daviau. He's an extremely talented designer. And his latest game was a flop. That doesn't make him a bad designer. It means he had a bad game. That's it. So I think the issue for Emerson, and if you're listening, we love you, man. We're just using you as an example, and we appreciate you for everything you do. I think he would have been successful at Kickstarter, but I think one of the issues maybe with Emerson is he really likes the game development side. Mm-hmm. And so it's easier for somebody like him, where he can just afford to be creative and let another company worry about distribution and marketing and other things like that. And so if you want somebody like to run a Kickstarter for you, he'd have to wear all of those hats, because he would have to focus on that marketing and other things for it to be successful. People would buy it because he's Emerson, yes, but it would not have the same success if he didn't have people marketing his game. And so I think it allows him to just be creative, because the man is creative, really great creative, smart individual. And so, it's a catch-22, Do I sign with a big company so I can just be creative, and by doing so, some of my games may not happen, like Stephen Avery with his Rubber Banditos? Send it off, and then what happened with flipping Rubber Banditos? Cool Mini or not, got big, they went corporate, and now his game is on the back burner, and he's looking now to possibly sell it to somebody else, right? Okay. So you have people like that.
Yeah.
Or just get it back first.
Well, and that's if he can get it back.
Yeah.
And then you have all this other stuff that's going on. So it's just, it's what do you want to deal with? But then at the same time, how now you as a small company, how are you going to be able to deal with some of this distribution contest that you're in now? When you have a juggernaut in the industry, because FFG is already a juggernaut, when you have a freaking juggernaut in the industry and they're now saying, nope, we're only going with Alliance. Imagine all these other little companies and what kind of like panic or maybe that they're kind of going in. And here's why I say panic, because those game stores make a lot of their money on the big companies. And if that game store now can't get the distribution for the games that they want to sell, how many of your little games, when you're like a nobody, do you think they're going to be able to pick up where they can afford to take the chance on you? Your now chance of a game is now going to be there possible, big marketing technique, and they can't afford to do that. When I can buy 10 Mansions of Madness to kind of offset this one game that may sit on my shelf for a couple of months because nobody knows about it, I can take that risk with that nobody because I know this will sell to get me that money. And now that's no longer an option. That's diarrhea on a good date. That's diarrhea when she's looking good and you think, man, this is going to be so great. We're about to make a third baby. Things are going to happen. And then, nope. That's what that is.
I have no clue what's going on now.
I've just been in chat for a while.
Sorry,
Nice.
I'll stop.
But yeah, insanity.
Well, Tim showed up, so.
I guess after all of that, we're done with the news. And,
Just when you thought it was over. I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm glad we talked about it, and I asked the guys in text message. I was like, "Should we cover it? Because we're just gonna go hard on it." And they're like, "It's news. Let's do it. It's news. We just need to go in." So.
Oh, Rob's not in chat, Tim. Tim was asking you if you saw his Lords of Hellas meme. But
Man, I see
you did.
Tim, I see everything you put on Facebook, man. It's annoying. I feel like we're friends now. It's like, oh my gosh. I get more post updates from you than I do my wife. It's so weird, man. But yes, I did see your meme. It was very great, and I gotta whisper this because I'm at home. I ended up backing Lords of Hellas. So,
Tim keeps talking about Matt's awesome paint jobs and all the miniatures he's been painting. Good job.
I know he's hating on Roy.
I haven't painted any.
I know he keeps calling Roy's work you.
Anything that I do, anything that I post, he says,
that's great.
"Oh, Matt,
That's
that's
great,
awesome, Matt."
Yeah.
I thought for a moment I thought he was low key following me on Instagram because I did post 2 pictures of some canvases that I painted.
those were
and I was
awesome,
like,
by the
that's
way.
really nice of him. And then I was just like, wait a minute, I don't think he's following me on Instagram.
No, he's literally trying to troll me. So,
There we go. That's pretty quality.
and I just go, "Yeah, Matt's great. Matt's the best."
Man, if I knew how to paint minis though, that'd be great. I've got all these minis games that
We need to have a minis painting day where we can.
Dude,
just
Hector keeps
all-
saying the same thing. I
keep saying the same thing to him.
them
just schedules.
something else I
man.
got to do.
Them schedules.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, I guess maybe we can talk about something we've played. We played a couple games.
Yeah, I can talk about all the games I played because we already talked about them before.
Well, we played a couple new things that we haven't talked about before. So one thing that me and Rob played was Guns and Steel. It's like a small little card game that's like a Civ game where you're trying to build an engine and get points and recruit different cards. Right up Rob's alley, you know? But you're getting resources. You have a hand of cards, and you can place any of your cards face down. They have resource icons on the back. They'll be we start with food and iron, and you can choose whether you want to have a food resource or an iron resource. But you have to forego the special ability on the front side of the card by doing that. So you can put one down for a resource, and then you get to activate the ability on one card, and they can do all sorts of different things, like turn some of your already face-up cards to resources, or let you turn any resource into other types of resources. And it's this resource management, engine building, little civilization game, but it also has combat where you're doing things to make your opponent flip over there and expend their resources, or you can try to steal wonders back and forth from each other, and you're trying to get the right combos to be able to get wonders. And all the cards that you're buying are in a big pyramid, and you're buying from the bottom at first, and as you get cards, then if there's no cards beneath it, then it's unlocked and someone can then buy it, and you're trying to buy the cards that can make your combos and build your little Civ engine. And it's in a tiny little box from Tasty Minstrel Games. It was pretty cool. It's a cute little game. It's a cute little filler game. I thought it was interesting. I want to hear Rob's opinion of the game. What did you think overall, Rob?
I don't think it was a bad game. I just, I think for a filler game, it's
A little
okay. I'd rather play 5-minute dungeon or something like that.
Yeah.
I do like the card drafting and building your hand, but when I see a game like that, I'd rather play legendary. And I did like how it's kind of a gotcha type of a game. For example, like there was this one whole section where you and I were not drafting there because as soon as one of us drafted one, the other one was going to get the better card.
Or whatever. Yeah.
And so by not drafting, you kind of lock something. But if you don't draft, then you're in a way kind of stopping the game from exceeding. So it was fun. The artwork and everything on the cards was okay. It definitely reminded me of Civilization because the higher you drafted in the cards, the more advanced the technology got.
Yeah.
So it was okay, but I was exhausted Friday when we played, and so I was just kind of out of it. And you were like, "Hey man, here's your hand."
Thinky
so like,
stuff
okay.
going on in it for real, like being like, "Okay, how do I get the resources?" There was several times in the game though I would be going for a specific card because once you get higher, you have to have your resources just right to be able to get the cards. And I would get where I'd be like, okay, I've got everything set up. Next turn, I'll be able to get that card. And Rob will get the card the turn before me. And I'd be like, well, now I need to get that card, but my resources are not right at all to get that one. So it made it kind of interesting as you're racing to get the different cards.
Card-wise, I had a lot of points. Like, I actually think card-wise, I had more points than you. But what helped you so much was those side missions. You got every single one of those.
Yeah, I got all the wonders. And I purposely, there was a lot of attack cards that let you steal wonders from your opponent. And purposely, every single time one of those was unlocked, I was like, draft the one that lets you steal wonders. Because they weren't really going to help me, but they were going to keep you from stealing the points that I got. So... But it could definitely be a very take that game if you're playing a lot of the attack cards back and forth on each other. So, but yeah, I thought it was a cool little Civ game. I thought it was cool the amount of stuff that the game had in it for the small amount of cards.
Yeah, it wasn't bad or anything like that. But I don't know if I would like, hey man, pull that out while we're waiting for something. I'd rather like play Goku Ku or Rhino Hero or 5 Minute Dungeon.
It's definitely more thinky. It's more in the Euro vein of those sort of things, engine building and resource management. So, and then it has that take that Euro players would hate. So, who knows? Awesome. Yep. Then we played another game. This is the expansion for Tiny Epic Galaxies Beyond the Black. This is a game that is fresh shipping in from the Kickstarters. To all the backers. I'm seeing people posting pictures of getting their copies all over the place. But this takes Tiny Epic Galaxies, which is like a dice rolling to get your different actions and following and trying to colonize planets game, and it adds in pilots and custom ships that those pilots can fly in, and then these exploration cards of places you can like explore going into the black and stuff like that. It was pretty interesting. I like that it made it so it wasn't like before the game the only thing you could really do to get points for the most part is to colonize planets. This added like extra options of ways to get points. Like now you can go for pilots, or now you can just go explore the black a ton to try to get or go beyond the black and explore and hopefully not get terrible things when you do it. But yeah, it was a fun little expansion. That game is still all about following. If you don't have any culture that you can follow, you're basically just sitting there bored. So I think that was Matt's experience half the time.
Yeah, it was. It's not bad. Tiny Epic Galaxies is actually my favorite Tiny Epic game.
Yeah.
Although I'm really banking on Tiny Epic Quest to kind of dethrone that, but
dude, I want to play Quest so bad.
Man, I don't know, because it was like AJ started first, and I was to his right, so I was going to be the very last player.
Took a while
and so
started.
his first thing he did, I followed, and then ran out of follow action. So I just literally sat there while AJ took his whole turn, and then Roy took his whole turn, and then Ryan took his whole turn, and then it was my turn, and then I was just like, man, you know what I need to do? Get follow.
Yep.
And so I just felt like I was on the back foot the whole game, and then some of those turns were just taking a really long time since I was always following too much stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, man. No, I mean, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is Tiny Epic, Adam. I just like Galaxies better. I'm the dissenting opinion of the podcast.
Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is the best game ever.
Best game ever?
It's not best game ever, but I don't know, man.
It's a good game.
I'm telling you, I probably shouldn't say this after only playing a prototype, but having played the prototype, I love the prototype, and seeing like what the actual game looks like, I mean, I feel like it's probably top 10 material for me. So,
I mean, it's definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. I like it. I really like that, I don't know, cartoony fantasy look. I love like crazy fantasy races, and it's got them all in these like crazy cartoony fantasy guys. I don't know. Lots of different special abilities seems fun. But we've talked about that game a ton anyway. But yeah, what would you think about what Beyond the Black added to the game, Matt?
I mean, I do like the changes, or not the changes, but the stuff they added to it. The pilots give you a very interesting and new way to play, and then the exploration
Ryan was taking
pretty...
advantage of the pilots like crazy. Like he did a great job with the pilots.
It's really nice. The exploration thing to me seemed a little odd, because I felt like you could get a lot of points off of that that weren't counted. They weren't counted like immediately, so you could just like rack those up while other people are just like, I'm trying to get points and stuff, and then it's just like, oh cool, by the way, I've got 28 extra points to sit in here, and you're like, dang.
Yeah, with this expansion, you have to try to be a contender in there, and I think that was part of the problem. Is me and Ryan were going like really hard on trying to get as many points as possible for that, and it made it so there almost wasn't a point for other people to try to get second in it. But
well, I mean, hey, I tried. I just kept getting sucked into black holes every time. So
yeah, the crazy thing is you were getting super mad about it, and then you're like, my goal, I don't understand it, and your goal was literally for you to run into the bad things. I'm like, no, you did what you were supposed to do, literally. You probably should have been exploring that more, because that's literally what that means, is that bad things happen to you when you go explore.
Like, I was going to, but then I didn't understand the iconography because I didn't pay attention to what the exploration cards look like. So I was like, well, let me get one of the pilots that are good at exploration. And that took far longer than I anticipated. And by that point, Ryan was already like knee deep in exploration. And I was like,
And I basically had, the only way I could pass him was just like spending entire turns doing nothing but like exploring. I was just like, get cards, and hopefully get lucky. You know, it adds a decent amount of luck into the game with those cards. So, but yeah, it was definitely pretty interesting, and I definitely like the aesthetics of all the different pilots and the different worlds you can find when you're going beyond the black and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And how it could technically, because normally in that game, whoever gets to 21 normally like finishes the game and just wins. With those hidden exploration like planets and things like that you get from going beyond the black, it could make it where somebody could sneak up and get a victory when they weren't the person to trigger the end of the game. So, because like me and Ryan were ridiculously close at the end, and I was the one person that actually ended the game. So. Good times.
Yeah, you won by 1 point.
I won by 1 point.
Yeah.
That could have swung either way. Like, really could have swung either way. But yeah. Did you guys have something else you wanted to talk about? As far as
no, I want to get into the topics since we're already at 10 o'clock.
Yep. Awesome. Well, today we're going to be talking about Kickstarter stuff. So overall, what are your thoughts on just Kickstarter as a platform for funding games, just like as a broad scope on what your thoughts of Kickstarter are?
You want to go first, Matthew?
I mean, specifically games or just Kickstarter in general?
You could just do Kickstarter in general.
Like, I think it's a decent platform for people who have a very good idea and a sort of modest way to get it to production and to the backers. I think what you're seeing a lot of these days, though, is just people who are like, okay, guys, so I've made this tiny pocket windmill that can power a house. I'm only going to need $4 million. And you're just like, oh, I don't know if I know how to tell this guy. He's very wrong. But like, I think it's a good platform for most things. But like board games specifically, it allows some people who are maybe a bit smaller, who have a niche game that maybe wouldn't do well with a developer, like Kingdom Death. I don't think any developer would pick that game up, but dang if it didn't make all the money.
All the money.
So, yeah, man.
Boom.
It makes people's dreams come true.
Yeah, sort of.
Awesome. What are your thoughts, Rob, on Kickstarter?
I think I spend way too much money on it. I'm tallying up how much I've spent this year alone on it.
Holy smokes.
Woo! Anyway, I think it's a great platform, and I think Kickstarter is one of the last areas, to go off of my previous rant. It's one of the last areas for that small company to get a big push, because if you can market it right on social media and Kickstarter, you can get it out there and possibly get it picked up by somebody. And so I love it. I think it's I think it's a smart way. I love the free market aspect of it. If it fails, it failed. You suck. If it's successful, congratulations, it's successful. So it's one of those things where it really gives you the opportunity to be able to put your best foot forward. The only thing about it is if you're a company doing Kickstarter, just follow through on what you do. But overall,
sure.
I love it. I'm a big fan of it.
I like the games that come out of Kickstarter. It's really hard for me to wait, like spend my money and wait that long for a board game to actually like come out and get it. Like I would much rather just be like, oh, Kickstarter lets people make their dreams. That's awesome. But I hope that those games still like are available afterwards for me to get, because normally I can't grab the game. And I'm also like leery of grabbing a game that hasn't had tons of reviews, or I like to hear like the actual opinions of people after they've played the game a bunch and be like, okay, well that game's gone through the ringer and people are still talking about it. Awesome. I want to go ahead and grab that game because people are talking about how awesome it was to play it. And you just see like posts of people playing it everywhere and being excited about it everywhere. Not the Kickstarter hype of people like Tim just talking about Kickstarters all the time that haven't been played yet. But it's interesting to see afterwards when everybody's talking about, oh my gosh, Ethnos is amazing, or this game's amazing, or Blood Rage is amazing, and just people just keep on talking about it. Then you're like, man, that was a good game that was on Kickstarter that I should probably really look into at this point.
That's the only reason why I'll play Ethnos, is because of how much people have said it's such a great game.
I mean,
and I will say 90% of that has to do with Adam Sparkle's 0.007498% has to do with Tim, and then everything else is you guys saying you like it. But Adam is always raving about that game, so that's my boo.
Awesome. So, how many Kickstarters have you backed overall?
Oh, not.
Oh boy.
Roy's probably. I mean, not Roy. Matt's probably got me beat because the only Kickstarters I've ever backed
are board game ones.
Have been board game ones, but 3, 5, 7, 9. I've only backed 9, but 5 of the 9 have been this year.
Goodness.
I backed,
and I will say the cheapest one that I backed was Zombicide Green Horde.
Oh God, no!
Holy smokes.
Rob, I understand your problem now. Good Lord.
Goodness gracious.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dim pennies.
I've backed 16 on Kickstarter, and then I think an additional 2 or 3 on like Indiegogo. But not all of my things are board games. Like most of them are board games, and then some of them are food. And
or
then
that notebook
like,
thing, right?
Yeah.
Technology stuff.
Yeah, I got that, the Rocket book. I backed a video game. I backed this thing on Indiegogo.
That book like the book you put in the microwave to erase what you wrote on it?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have literally wrote nothing in it. It is sitting somewhere. Well,
then you don't even have to put it in the microwave.
Right. It's perfectly fine. Man, I don't know.
I will say this though, I didn't start backing stuff on Kickstarter till last year.
Yeah.
It was either last year or Blood Rage was the very first game I backed on Kickstarter. And ever since then, it's kind of grown. But yeah, Blood Rage was the very first one. So whenever that came out.
It's funny. I've only backed 3 Kickstarters, and it's like I watch Kickstarters more than like I actually back them because I want the game to be good, and like I'll watch a game like through all the things that happened. Like even when Zaya came out, like I I don't have the money to tie up the money for like a year and a half majority of the time. So I watch the game and I watch the development process of it and of everything, like go and read comments of people talking about it and watch like how the game is when it comes out. And then when it actually comes out on shelves, I'm like, hey, will someone get this for me for Christmas, please? Like, I don't know.
I love Adam's answer. He said, I haven't backed anything until I started listening to Epic Gaming Night.
I'm sorry, Adam.
And the first thing I ever backed was a hot sauce. That's weird.
Bro.
That's awesome.
Not doing that again.
And then I backed the hot sauce last week. Apparently, I'm just really big into hot sauces.
I wish you would have left some of the good ones over here. Not.
Well, I used those.
No, you should have left some. They're being awesome.
You can take some of the really hot ones if you want. I don't know that I'm going to use those for a whole lot.
Awesome.
They've destroyed my mouth. Nothing's spicy to me anymore.
That's good.
I mean,
it's hot sauce is like drugs. After you start taking the heavier drugs, then the lighter drugs don't give you the same effect anymore.
Now I still crap all the time, all over the place because of hot sauce. Like that has
your stomach hasn't gotten used to it.
Yeah, my stomach hasn't gotten used to it. But
Rob's just gonna come in one day and be like, "Oh yeah, guys, I have IBS. Thanks." And I'm just gonna be like,
do.
Whoops.
But I got IBS because of Mexico.
How do you do a hot sauce challenge while playing Blood Rage? Like each time you pillage something, you have to take some hot sauce.
When
each time you lose a character.
I feel like
the day after our hot sauce challenge, my poop was Blood Rage because it was bleeding. It was angry. So,
dude, I was surprised how unscathed I was from our hot sauce challenge. Like after you left, Rob, I was feeling terrible at the end of it, but after you left, like me and Matt did our video, and like I was just like, I feel fine, I feel great.
Yeah, it didn't hit me until like the next morning. My stomach was like a little grumbly, and I was like, "Oh no!"
I'm saying it didn't even hit me after that. I was like perfectly fine. I'm just like, wow, this is actually amazing, from how bad I was feeling.
Although I feel like if we were to do a challenge while playing Blood Rage, we'd probably need to do something more like Nordic, where you like eat like pickled herring or something that's actually going to make everybody vomit.
Nice.
I've had pickled herring before. It's
So not so great.
Yep.
I'm surprised you even suggested that, Matt, with the kind of stuff that you eat.
Matt couldn't handle it. No,
absolutely. It would be like on my tongue, out of my mouth. Just immediately, I'd be like, "Nah."
Matt has two foods: hamburger and pizza. That's what Matt eats.
Also, cheese fries.
Note the common theme: cheese.
Yeah, cheese fries are
the
also
connecting
a thing.
bridge and everything.
Do you eat anything without cheese?
Waffles.
You could put cheese on waffles.
I mean, I could, but I don't.
I went
mostly like breakfast food.
Matt should just start a cheese podcast.
They had this Belgian waffle hamburger there. And the burger was okay, but that waffle was amazing. Mm-hmm. And it had some of the cheese mixed on it with the syrup from the cheese from the burger mixed with the syrup. I tell you what, cheese with syrup on a good Belgian waffle is not bad.
Well, that's like the North Carolina staple is like if you do like apple pie and you put like sharp cheddar cheese on top of it. Nope. Okay. Never mind. Anyway.
I mean, I would try it because I like both
weird
things.
When we get down here in the South.
I'd try it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I don't
picky.
know. It's just one of those like salty sweet combos where it's just like, oh, check this out. This has got a savory flavor and this has got a sweet flavor. I don't know.
Nice. So, what do you look for specifically when you're getting into a Kickstarter? Is there anything that you look for when you're backing?
Yes.
Rob's like, it needs to look amazing and beautiful and have great miniatures. Just pretty. Just pretty. Just needs to look really pretty.
Not just pretty. Because there have been pretty Kickstarters. No, there have been pretty Kickstarters that I have not backed, but I put down a reminder. You know how like you can star a Kickstarter, and so it'll keep you updated and stuff. I've done that, but I've not backed them because they were only just pretty. Like after reading some of the reviews and seeing some of the gameplay, I was like, I have other games that do that same thing but better. So, but for even to get my attention, to answer your question, which brings us to the table of Kickstarter, it's got to be aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to wait 6 to 8 months to play your game, if not even longer, if not a year plus, it's got to be worth the wait. She's got to had plenty of time in the bathroom to get ready for the date, and she's got to knock my socks off.
Yeah. I don't know. It's probably bad of me, but for me, like, the Kickstarter has to be from a super like trusted publisher that is known for getting their stuff out and getting it on time or things like that. Or not on time
probably
necessarily,
has no
but like
doing Kickstarters anyway.
Yeah, exactly, which makes me a terrible person. But
I mean, no, it's fine.
But
that's
like,
how they chose to do it. So
I don't have money to lose if a Kickstarter went bad or something went crazy, and I feel like, I mean, there's probably tons of Kickstarters that fail, but as far as board game stuff goes, I feel like you could probably tell when a Kickstarter is going to be okay or good, you know, or at least make it all the way through. It might be delayed like crazy, but you guys haven't had any like actual bad problems with Kickstarters, like never coming in, have you?
Not yet. But I will also say this: Lords of Hellas is the very first Kickstarter I've ever backed on the first day. I typically back after it's been up for like a week or two.
Gotcha.
I only did that today because I wanted the extra mini, the Leonidas. No, it's Leonidas. Leonidas. I wanted the Leonidas mini. If you back today on the first day, you got that mini for free. If you back later, you can add it on. So, and it just looks so great. So typically, I wait to see what some people are saying before I do anything.
Gotcha. Do they have the rule book up for that yet?
I never read the rules, even after I buy it. I don't care. So
I'll check.
They could. My rule book is, hey Roy, man, how do we play this game?
I mean, that's another thing for me is like gameplay as far as the game goes is extremely important. Like I like a cool game, but I would be terribly upset if I got a game that looked really cool and didn't play good at all, because I don't keep games just to collect them. I don't collect the pretty things. I want to play the crap out of the game, and like I want to have an amazing time. So
yeah,
for me, the actual like gameplay, and I mean for the most part, I mean I kickstarted Zaya, which is an expansion for a game. I kickstarted Rising Sun, which is obviously Blood Rage. So it's not like I've kickstarted anything that's like ridiculous or out there, you know. So
I don't see the rules up, but as far as stuff goes,
do they have any
what's up?
preview
Gameplay
videos or gameplay
Yes.
videos? Okay.
yeah,
good.
yeah, they have that stuff up. I still haven't watched it yet or anything like that.
Yeah, I am so frugal when it comes to that stuff. Like, I will watch everything before I decide to put my money into anything. And I think it's just a lack of funds for the most part. Like, if I'm going to spend money on something, I need to make sure that money is well spent.
And to be honest, that makes complete sense. And I think that's very wise on your part.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people, including myself, don't have the discipline. Like certain things I won't spend money on, even as much as I love it. But other things like board games and other stuff, I can't help myself. So, you know, I think that's smart on your part. But at the same time, I do know this war of mine was huge success, at least for their standards of what they wanted to have done on the Kickstarter. And I know a lot of people loved the video game version of it. And I knew these are the same guys that worked on that game. And what really got me, besides some of the extra perks, was how you build the monuments, like how they come in pieces.
Yeah.
And you're literally building it all together. Like I thought, man, that is just so cool. Just some of the mechanics of that game. You know, because I don't mind making a house rule if a rule or two is broken. But Yeah, some of the mechanics of that game is great. And here's the other great thing about Kickstarter, guys. We don't get charged until Kickstarter ends. So we backed it today. There's 20 days left. If, let's say, something comes out like a day before the Kickstarter ends and it's like, oh, somebody got their hands on it and it really is a bunch of malarkey and all the advertising was wrong, we have every right to pull out. And so there's still time to be able to do your research.
Yeah. One of the things I like to look for is like a lot of Kickstarters now recommend with satisfaction guarantees. So if you get it or
that's awesome.
This one has
yeah,
it
so
too.
if you like get it and you're like, oh yeah, this isn't really my cup of tea, or you get it and you haven't opened it and you've seen some reviews and you're like, maybe I should just send it back. They do dock whatever the Kickstarter fee is. I don't actually know what their percentage cut is, but that's always nice to be able to have that other
if you
option.
have one of those, what was it? The long or last Friday feelings. After playing it.
You don't have to try to ship it to someone else. Yeah. The other thing I look for is like a risk value assessment. So it's like, even if I don't like the game, like, does it have something that I will want to keep?
Yeah.
Or is like, I don't know. But I feel like that's only the case in like miniatures games. So like the game I backed recently called Crosstalk, like if it's just a bad game, there's like nothing to it. It's like a $20-$30 game. So it's like, oh, okay. Well, if I don't like it, I can just burn it, I guess. I don't know. But it's $20-$30, so it's like, oh well, that's just like going out to eat with me. So
what do you guys think are the good things about publishers publishing games through Kickstarter? I can go. I think it is awesome that if you have a crazy game idea, like you're saying, there's all these big giant corporations that are kind of filtering board games through. If you have a crazy game idea, it could possibly see the light of day with Kickstarter, and it gives a lot of people opportunities to follow their dreams. There are lots of like companies that are like big reputable companies now that got their start on Kickstarter, so like tons of different ones like Red Ravens Games and Stonemaier Games and all these different companies started out of Kickstarter, like tons of them. Gameling Games, all of them were born there and continue to make great games after they've made their first. So it can help publishers get a start and actually live their dreams. Hopefully it doesn't lead too many people to ruin as they're doing that, but that is some of the positives about it, is it actually gives people an opportunity for that to happen sometimes.
Well, I think what you brought up with Stonemaier Games is interesting to see, since they started on Kickstarter. Yeah. They've gotten to the point now where Charterstone, their new thing that everybody's really hype about, is not going to have a Kickstarter.
Yeah, they've gotten big enough that they are able to move away from it. So and
it's like that's really cool.
They're able to get their own stuff going and have enough like money in the company to be able to just publish their own games and then sell them after. So
they've got a big enough fan base that they know if they put out a game, people will buy it. So
it's a good way for publishers to get their games seen. I mean, I feel like that's one of the main reasons that so many of the big game companies are still making their games on Kickstarter, because they know that it'll get a lot of eyes on the game, So, and even if they're just using it as a glorified pre-order system, it's still a way for people to see their game.
Absolutely.
Random question real quick. Should I kickstart steak?
Like the actual meat?
Yes.
As long as it doesn't... Never mind, I'm not going to say that.
What are they guaranteeing with the steak?
I don't know. It's just like...
Are there any Kickstarter exclusives?
Do they do a live stream of them acquiring the steak?
Exclusives. There are some really nice videos of them making steaks.
Like butchering the cows themselves?
I don't know.
Do you get to name the cow before the steak happens?
Nah.
And do they guarantee, like, how long will it be before you get the meat?
That's kind of scary.
That's a good question. I think it's supposed to be later this year.
Well, are they going to age it in between then to give it a higher grade, or are they just cutting it and sending it your way? Or like...
I think what they do is they cut it and then they flash freeze it and send it to you, so it's not...
It's not aged properly.
Well, the whole point is it's supposed to be like fresh meat that is like organic,
That
grass
is-
fed, grass finished,
And
as
then
opposed to like the stuff that you would get at your.
scientifically frozen.
Oh yeah, but it's just like it's hard to find.
They put the
that
meat
sort
in
of stuff.
cryostasis.
It's also, I feel like, hard to just find that stuff around here in general. Like there's not a whole lot of.
What if you
shops.
did back the steak, right?
Mhm.
And then you got it to your house, you de-thawed it, and it woke up from cryostasis, and the muscles just started twitching like crazy, like ah.
I would be like, call up the police, number one. And then secondly,
Did you see that video?
I want
Speaking of
to hear that phone conversation of you explaining your flopping steak to the police.
sir, I bought a cow and it is just alive. And they're like,
Did you see that video of the lady on? It was on YouTube. She was skinning a fish, and she had the fillet, the head, the guts, everything was pulled out, just the fillet, and the fillet was smacking her.
That's crazy.
I'll text it
Seems
to
a
you
little
guys.
too fresh. Seems a little fresh.
That reminds
buddy.
me. That reminds me of like those videos of where you can get in like Japan. I think they have like the squid or whatever, and it's dead technically, but when they pour the soy sauce on the tentacles, they start like flailing. It's just crazy.
But to answer your last question, when it comes to Kickstarter, my main word is exposure.
Yeah. For sure.
Boom.
Boom. Done. Awesome. What do you think are some of the cons of using Kickstarter?
I don't know if it's necessarily a con, but it's something that's tough. It's the fact that you have to follow through. I think a lot of these companies have great ideas and they end up doing a really great job in the Kickstarter, but then they can't necessarily come through on all their promises, or they don't come through on their promises and the time allotted for them to come through. Like I was talking to my buddy Lee earlier today, and he backed a movie on Kickstarter. A movie. They were filming the movie. It was supposed to come out 2 years ago for the people on Kickstarter. He just got it last month. It was 2 years late.
Boy.
Yep.
Coming out. In fact, he totally forgot about it. He had gotten a new email address, got new everything like that, had moved on. And one day it was like, what's this movie at my doorstep? Oh my gosh, I backed this
Back in
several
2012.
years ago. Yeah, it seriously
Times
was like
simpler.
it was like 4 years ago. They were like, we're going to do this Kickstarter. We're going to film for several months, and then we're going to edit. And within 18 to 24 months, you guys are going to have the movie. Great. 48 months later, here's your movie. So I think that's one of the bad
But
sides.
was it good?
I don't know. He just got it. And so, but I would say it's just what gives it a bad name is when people don't follow through. Or one of the things that's frustrating is like when Massive Darkness says it's coming out in April, and I just got an email now saying we're probably going to ship in July. It's just like, that's not a terrible turnaround, but then don't tell me April. And here's the other thing that bugs me about Cool Mini or Not. They're like, hey guys, Chinese New Year shut down the factory. How long have you guys been? Well, come on. How long?
This
has
is the
China...
first year that they've done Chinese New Year.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do this all the time, and they shut down for a month. But it's like they come up with the same excuse all the time. So it's like those sympathy backers, like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, this must have been a great year in China. No, they do it every year. Like, quit that BS excuse and go ahead and calculate that when you're doing your predictions and stuff like that. Like, that's one of the things that's frustrating. It's not necessarily a con with Kickstarter because it's not Kickstarter's
Honestly, with
fault.
their prediction, they should just go like super far out, and then if they beat it, then everyone will be super stoked and like love the company, as opposed to like the opposite way around. So,
I mean, so conversely, from my end of things, Giant Killer Robots is supposedly a little over a month ahead of schedule for production and stuff.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Now, Champions of Midgard, I did get an email that said it probably wasn't going to come exactly this month. It might be first or second week of July.
Gotcha.
But I mean, that's like pushing it back 2 to 3 weeks. Like I can wait that. But like when Rob's saying, we're like, well, we're just going to push it back 2 months. Like, what happened? Did the factory you were going with burn down? Like, what's going on? So, but yeah, I don't know. It's quality.
Yeah.
My issue and we touched on this a little bit, is like not having a safety net for some of the things. Like, so if it either A, doesn't show up, or there's just, rampant problems with it, it always helps to have that either satisfaction guarantee or just a way to be able to recoup some of your losses. Like, you might not get everything back, but it's, if you can get a little bit back, you might feel a little bit better about something that might have wronged you.
All right, I'm sending you guys this link right now for The Fish.
The Fish? Oh, the movie?
No. Just you'll see when you get it.
Oh, I'm terrified.
It's the thing that's slapping the lady.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I gotcha.
The giant playmat, though, for real.
What giant playmat?
Oh, chat. We're talking about.
Oh, Champions of Midgard.
Yeah,
I thought you guys were talking about the giant playmat for Rising Sun, which I'm also excited for.
Oh, you backed the giant playmat part of it?
I got everything but the book.
Yeah.
Like I said, my cheapest Kickstarter has been Zombicide Kingdom.
Boy, that's rough. And they're going to have so many exclusives with that. Are you not going to pitch in for those?
No,
like, they already came out with 2.
The exclusives. No, hold on. No.
Oh, that's right. One of them isn't. Well, no, they're both not. Never mind.
Well,
right.
The exclusives you don't have to pay for. The add-ons is what you'll pay for, and they'll eventually sell those. But the exclusives are just if you're a backer of the Kickstarter. So that's why I'm excited for that. But Rising Sun. I got everything except for the art book because I was like, if I want to look at the art, I'll play the game. Hey.
There are very few games I would want to get an art book of. Like Scythe, I think, is the only one. But at that point, how much is the art book? $35? I could just buy a print from the guy who does the art.
Now, speaking of that, Lords of Hellas comes with the art book. Part of our pledge that we backed, we get a 50-page softback.
I also like they included pre-shading of the minis.
Yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
If you,
that's another.
Cool. But
game.
Otherwise, I think it looks really interesting because it kind of gives them like a rocky, almost marbly look, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just thinking of First Martian. That was another game that I backed, even though it was not on Kickstarter, and they pre-resined for the people that backed it. I got a lot of games. Like, my wife one day is gonna be like, "What are all these boxes doing here?" I'm like, "Listen, babe, like, I have no idea."
She's gonna like come home. There's just gonna be a small fire in the back. You're like poking with a stick. Like, what's that? Nothing. No. I certainly wasn't burning trash.
But here's the thing, though. Here's one of the things that I love about Kickstarter. For example, a little bit into my life, 3 weeks ago, my wife yelled at me about a Kickstarter. She's like, "Babe, what is this Kickstarter bill that happened on blah, blah, blah?" And maybe it was a little bit longer than 3 weeks ago, but it was this year. It was, let's say, less than 2 months ago. Yeah. My wife, the Kickstarter finally ended, and you get charged for the Kickstarter. My wife is like, "I'm such a bad husband." She's like, "Babe, we do not have the money right now. What in the heck are you doing? Like, we are having another baby, and all this is going on, and you're getting ready to go to Atlanta, and you want to go to Florida, and all this stuff, and you're telling me that you got..." And I'm like, babe, listen. And here's how I played it off. I was like, "Babe, I backed that last year, and they just charged me now."
Yeah.
Babe, like, listen, like," and she was like, Is that how they do that?" I was like, "Babe, sometimes, like, I'll buy games 2 years ago and then they'll finally come in. And so with the way these charges work, I don't know. It's just I got this stuff."
You're fired, Rob. You're fired.
And she's just like, "I need you to go on your Kickstarter right now and check any other Kickstarters that are possibly going to charge us in the future." And I was like, "I will."
Talking about all the games you've sold and the money you've made from those. You're like, no, I bought video games with that money.
It doesn't. I don't think it quite recoups what is going out.
It does not recoup at all.
Oh, man.
The games that I sold before Atlanta was for Atlanta, because Atlanta was not a cheap trip. But my wife, she was just like, "I can't believe you did all this." And I was like, "I love you so much. Did I tell you, girl, you don't even look pregnant. You are so fine." Girl, man, I tell you what, if anybody looks at you, I'm going to punch him in the face. And she's like, "For real?" I'm like, "For real." And then I'm like, "Can we?" And she's like, "Still no." And so I go buy another Kickstarter.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. Ah,
Yeah, I really wish they would like charge you like the moment you set it, because it's like I always put it in when I have the
for
money and then
sure.
I forget about it, and then it's just like, oh hey, by the way, we took out
Oh
$90, and I was like,
no, Matt,
oh,
get
mm,
married. You won't
good.
forget about it,
See,
or
Man,
at least
I'm
first
this.
first I
Get
have to learn
married.
to talk to women.
You
So
can
like,
talk to women. You can talk to women, but get married to a woman like my wife,
uh,
because she has always been like the soup Nazi of money. Like
okay,
even when we were
pretty solid.
dating, like when we first got married, I was working sales. I was doing a job where I was selling copiers and fax machines and stuff like that. And I would walk from business to business. I'm the reason why you put no soliciting on your door. It was 103 degrees and I'm walking pavement. So it's like 115 to me because I'm cooking. I go to the store to buy a soda. I bought a Mountain Dew to help cool me down. Not even 10 minutes later, she calls me. She's like, "Why'd you buy a soda?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Why'd you buy a soda? We got water at the house we're already paying for." I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's 100 degrees. What are you?" She was like, "You bought a soda at that Exxon at that station right there. You could have drove to the house." And I'm like, "Woman," but that's my wife. So
I
I
mean,
say
it's,
that to say
oh boy,
I am never surprised when the money hits the account. Usually, I make myself very busy those days. I make sure I am slammed with clients and I just can't be home because if I come home late, she'll be tired and she's just like, it's not as aggressive. But if I do it and she finds out early in the day and she still has a lot of energy, oh man, I'm done.
Well, for me, guys, what I do is I backed Rising Sun, and then the last week when it was about to end, I was like, hey, let's look at this Kickstarter. I want to show you all the things that have been unlocked. And then I explained to her truthfully about how exclusives on Kickstarter work and how if I don't back the game now, I'm not going to get any of those exclusives and I might as well not even get the game, which is the truth. So,
But let me ask you this. Do you think that works for you because your wife is a gamer?
my wife, I mean,
Like she's a gamer. She likes games. She
yeah.
understands it. Like she's not like your like my wife. Her types of games are like Splendor and Potion Explosion, and we play those maybe once a month, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think you have not necessarily that advantage, but you have that ability? Because if I tell my wife about a Kickstarter exclusive, she does not care. It's like, who cares about the Kickstarter exclusive? Like,
I
that
also
doesn't matter. You know what's exclusive? The money in the account that you're taking it from. That's the Newman exclusive, and you're taking that away from us. So it's like,
what was I gonna say? I also say, you know, like I'm like, okay, Blood Rage like had these exclusives. Like if you just sold the exclusives, you'd make more money than the game itself. I was like, I could literally get the game in and sell all the exclusives and make money. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but that is an option. So I'm like, it's an
in
investment.
case somewhere down the road.
Yeah, in case we like need to pay the mortgage, I could sell Rising Sun and all the exclusive and pay 2 months. Like we're good.
now I will say this. I know I'm kind of throwing myself under the bus, so let me kind of dig myself out a little bit.
Boy, here we go.
Ambi's not
One-
impressed in chat at all. Not impressed.
Oh, that's and good for all those people. That's great for y'all. Listen, all of my bills are paid. Everything that I need to take care of is taken care of. Like I'm not necessarily I'm not that naive where my money is just like I'd rather buy that than pay for the electric for the house or something like that. So it's not like that. But at the same time, my wife and I do have an understanding where if it's like a significant amount of money, we do talk about it. But if it's like, let's say under $300 to $500, I just kind of let my wife go and buy things, and vice versa, her with me. For example, the only things I really spend money on are games. That's about it. It's games. Like I'm not. I don't spend money on other things. It's not one of my issues or hobbies or anything like that. And my wife, if she ever wants to go buy anything, in fact, I tell her sometimes, I'm like, just go out of the house and go shop. Just go. Just because I feel like she deserves it, and I want to be able to provide for my family where she can do something. Now, I will say this. I am also blessed the fact that I have an amazing wife who does not just sit there and like run to the store to buy 50 shades of red lipstick because she wants different things. Like my wife is very smart. She's very frugal with her money and she knows what she's doing. And so when she buys something, I feel like she's earned it because she's not just blowing money or anything like that. So we have a good understanding. It's just when she sees the board game costs over $100, it's hard for her to understand how does that board game cost over $100. And so that's where a lot of the conversations come from, like Massive Darkness. Like, you spent $336 on a stupid board game? Robert Newman, what does this game do that costs $300+? Are those little things going to come alive and clean
You get
our
murdered
house?
by spiders. That's what that game does.
Yeah. So, in saying all that, I'm not the worst husband in the world.
Oh man.
Boo.
That was a great
Meeple.
conversation.
The Chubby Meeple had a pretty good joke. He said, "My fear is that when I die, she'll sell my games for what I told her I paid for them." And I was like, "Oh man, oh no."
Is there
I used
anything
to-
in a Kickstarter that makes you automatically want to back that Kickstarter?
Exclusives.
Yeah, you're just like,
I actually disagree with that. I think the more exclusives it has, the more I'm just like, like I just get
just
so
100% boycott. You're just like, I just want to
so
never
mad.
play this game.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. I'm just like, why? Like, I can understand like a couple of things, but it's like I feel like Cool Mini goes like excessive with it. Like, there are a lot of other games that are like, hey, check this out. It's a Kickstarter exclusive. It's it's like maybe like 5 cards or something else. And it's like, oh, that's neat. That's cool. Probably adds a little bit of the game. It's probably something, but nothing crazy. And then I don't know, but Cool Mini's like, okay, here we go. We got your 78 Kickstarter exclusive miniatures, and then this is the Kickstarter exclusive board, and this is the Kickstarter exclusive campaign guide. And I'm like, guys, just sell me the game. Like, stop. Because it starts to feel like the pre-order bonuses with video games, where it's like, oh, if you wanted everything, you have to pre-order it from 5 different places so that you can get all of this stuff so that you can have one complete game. And it's just like, what is happening? For real though, just give me the whole game. Like, I don't know. That's why I feel like. Anyway, that wasn't the question you asked. I'll let you guys get back to it.
Hey, half the time after the 4th word, I forget the question, but I just don't shut up. So you're good, man.
I don't think there's anything that makes me auto back a game. Like, even the games that I did back, there was a lot of research put into them before.
I think there's only like maybe one thing that would, like, if the game was like had like really really good art. But I say that, but I saw Scythe when it was on Kickstarter, and I was still like apprehensive about it. So I'm probably in the same boat as you, Roy. I'm just like, nah.
And I mean, I listen to so
I'll
much board
wait.
game media and like watch so much stuff that like majority of the time I hear about the game like either right when it came on Kickstarter or like even before that sometimes. So it's like I've at least heard about people talk about it a bunch already. So I don't know. Awesome. Is there anything that automatically turns you off when looking at a Kickstarter?
Design.
Yeah, if it just looks like it's not got what it
If
takes.
it looks like Ethnos, you're not going to get my money.
Yeah. You think Ethnos would have failed on Kickstarter? Probably.
No, because it was Cool Mini or not.
It wouldn't have done
I don't think they've.
Blood Rage or anything.
No, yeah, I don't think it would have done as well as some of those other games.
Yeah.
Not nearly as well, but it would have at least made its pledge level, just because there's so many fanboys.
I think people would have gotten so much hate if they put Ethnos on Kickstarter, don't you think? Like, there would just be vitriol in the comments.
Oh man, people would be like, "I'm backing this for this, what?" And then they would compare it to the other Cool Mini or Not games, and they would have every right after comparing it, seeing the artwork for those. So yeah.
Nice. Tim, you should tell that to all the publishers. Actually, not all of them, just all the good publishers.
Boom.
Because there's plenty of the not good ones that hit me up already.
Ethnos is not beautiful. Please, like, the joke is not even funny anymore. It's
Man,
a
I think
good
it's
game.
all right.
I do think it's all right too. Like,
No.
I was staring at the
Guys,
board when you guys were playing it
shut
at my
up.
birthday, and I'm just like, I mean, it could be cooler. Like, they could have cool fantasy monsters,
No.
like, coming out of the different things, and maybe not
No.
have that giant, colorful
It's
border.
the dumbest, ugliest, stupid game with the stupid little coins you stack on top of each other. It was the cheapest game
How
that
else are you
they ever
supposed to
did.
do the coins though? I don't understand. It's like
They
Cosmic
could have done
Encounter,
something
where
else.
it's
They could
Like
have done
what?
something else. I don't know.
They
Give
could have
me
done something
me
else.
10 minutes to just think about what else they could have done, and I
Okay.
could come up with a better idea.
Yeah, they could have
But
easily done
we'll come back
something
to it at
else.
the end of the podcast.
Well, I'm not
Especially
gonna think about it between
Simon.
now and then.
I mean,
But
Simon
with
knows how to
everything that
make
they've got
cool
coming out-
things.
How do you have Rising Sun and then you have Ethnos side by side? You tell me that's from the same
I
person?
mean, literally, if they took the plastic, like, score trackers from Blood Rage and put those in Ethnos, it would be better than the little plastic things they have.
Now I think, but for real though, I think that the price point for what you get is a little high. So I
For
can kind of
Ethnos?
understand that. Yeah, it's like what 40, 45?
Yeah, to me, aesthetically, it looks like it's worth $20, 20, 25. Now, I want to play it because all of you guys are like, hey, Ethnos is so great, blah,
It's a
blah,
great game.
blah.
I thought about buying it a minute ago
But
because it's back on cool stuff.
I'll buy it when it comes out for like $20, $25. When I see a sale for it, I will buy it then. But it does not look like anything Cool Not has done. What a freaking disaster. So stupid. I'm over it. Done.
Are there any Kickstarters that you've actually, like, pledged on and then backed out of?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You want me to go through the list? Because I got like 40 of them.
Really?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, there's a ton where I'm like, yeah,
Never
I'm going
mind.
to get this. I'm going to get this.
And
This
you actually
looks so great.
pledged and then unpledged?
I'm not gonna.
Well, before I was charged, like there would be like
Right.
less than an
That's
hour
what I
left.
meant.
There'd be less than an hour left, and I was
Oh,
like,
man. You're that guy. You're that guy that the publishers dread. They didn't keep your attention, though. It's their fault.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's a bunch. Like for example, I was. Let me see if there's like pre-Roy. There was that. All right, let me go all the way back. I got a bunch. Vikings
My
Gone
short answer
Wild.
is no. I haven't.
Load, the board game. Soul, Last Days of a Star. That looked really cool. I wanted to get it, but it just something about it. I was like, nope. This War of Mine. It sounded great. And I think the reason why I backed out of this War of Mine is because I didn't want to get in trouble with my wife. That was shortly after maybe Massive Darkness, and I was like, no, I can't. I'm not allowed to do that. Dark Souls. The reason why I didn't get Dark Souls is because I was afraid it was too much like the board game or like the video game, and the video game was like stupid hard, and I was like, why do I want something that's already going to make me upset, make me even more upset? So, I had a chance. I was going to get Scythe. I was going to be one of those original backers for Scythe, but I just was like, no. So, I could go on. Yeah, I've got a bunch.
That's
Russian
crazy.
Roulette, that looked fun. But then it just got cheesy. There was this one, Darkness Sabotage, that looked gorgeous. But the reason why I did not get it is because when I thought about all of the other dungeon crawl games that I had, I was like, why do that when I have these other dungeon crawl games that I know are better? Several others. The Edge, Dawnfall. That's the one that Matt was talking to us about.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
looked really awesome. Yeah, that also had to do with money.
My thing is like I'll look at it for a really long time, but if I ever like click the button, I'm just like, oh, I'm committed. Because if I start to get wishy-washy with it, I'm just like, oh no, I'm just not gonna back anything, or I'm just gonna back everything, which is gonna be even worse. So I'm just like, okay, I'll just look at it, and then as soon as I press that button, I just forget about it immediately. Because if
I
I
don't
don't,
forget.
bad things will happen.
I mean, when I back something, I definitely am in on the game, and I check for updates. I read the comments. Like, I'm like doing this. I mean, I check updates and read comments
Oh,
on
man.
Kickstarters I don't back. Then I'm like,
You know,
I can't
when
wait
you
till
read
this
the
comes to
comments,
retail.
though.
There
Say
was
what?
a game.
I do read the
Read the
comments.
comments.
Yeah.
I don't even care what other people think. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I definitely care a lot. I don't know. It's interesting.
There are too
Notice-
many trolls. There are way too many trolls for
I
me
mean,
to care
I
about them.
disagree with majority of the comments, but it's still interesting to see what the publisher, like, I don't know, I find it interesting, like, how the publisher responds to all these different comments and how
Oh,
the
that
publisher
is-
responds to hate and just crazy things people say and, like, the stuff that the publishers just ignore when people say. I don't know. It's all interesting to me. I don't know.
Is there a Kickstarter that you guys wish you had backed that was maybe not super popular that you're now kind of kicking yourself on?
I don't know if it was super popular, but I wish I would have backed Scythe.
Yeah.
It might have been popular. I just
Scythe was
remember
huge.
I just remember talking about it when it was a thing, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't know that anybody would like it, so I don't know that I can warrant spending. I think it was like $120, $150 at the time, whereas now I'm just like, yes, Green Horde, $120, come on. And I'm just like, Although that one I might renege on. We'll see.
The highest level on Scythe was 119, the Art Connoisseur Scythe, but you could have got the Collector Scythe with the
All
realistic
the
tokens
awesome
for
stuff and
99.
The bigger board.
For
And
99.
Dang,
Scythe.
that was a deal.
Scythe
Yep.
successfully funded for $1.8 million.
Okay.
So it was like a big one. But I'm talking about not so much in popularity. Like there was this one that I wanted to get. It was called Medivio.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically, Age of Empires, the board game where you have the civilizations and all that kind of stuff and these huge armies. It comes with over 1,000 miniatures. Over 1,000 freaking miniatures in this game. And it plays up to 9 players. But it's a historical based game, and so I was just thinking my group will never play this. That's why I did not get it, but I wanted to.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like what we should do is we should start buying the games that we want to play, and then we'll just have separate other gaming nights. So we have the Epic Gaming Night that is always weekly and a very sort of continuous constant.
Yeah.
And then when it's just like, I don't know that people will like this, just kind of put out feelers and go, hey guys, you want to play this game? It's about history and junk. And then people will be like, yeah. And then we'll be like, cool, next Saturday.
set up specific game days for the specific game. Be like, we are playing this game on this day. That's what we normally have to do for anything that's bigger or anything we specifically want to play, you know?
I'm pretty sure me and the Chubby Meeple are the same person because he said he didn't back near and far. And I also didn't back near and far. And I looked at it for a really long time too. And I was like, yeah, but I didn't
Trevor
want to spend $80
backed it.
to also
He's
get.
supposed to be bringing it over, so I'm excited to see.
But
We
I
love
just
Trevor.
I just let Trevor back games for me, and then I play his copies. And I have to get it in the window where he actually owns the copy because it'll be gone. Probably not near and far, but it'll be gone like 3 weeks from now. But if I can get in there and play it at least once.
But then he'll buy it again in 6 months.
No, he would never get rid of a Ryan Lockett game because that's his boyfriend. Yes,
Oh, really?
I did say that live on the podcast. No, I'm just kidding. He really likes Ryan Lockett stuff, so I don't blame him. Ryan Lockett stuff is
Let's go
amazing.
games.
So what do you guys think about bigger companies using Kickstarter? I know a lot of people say that Kickstarter should be about the small publisher, like fulfilling their dreams.
Disagree. 100%. Not 100%, but big disagree.
Yeah.
Like 80%.
Well, I think the big companies, like, let's ask this. Why is Cool Mini or Not still doing stuff on Kickstarter? They don't need to. But it's great because it gives them the exposure that they need because it's a free platform where they can get an idea of how they're going to come swinging out of the gate. I mean, what an awesome idea to know right out of the gate, I need to have 30,000+ copies of my game, or not even that much. Let's say 10,000+ copies of my game right out of the gate. That's awesome. That's a great way to be able to test your market. But I think it's also great that big companies do that because it gives the small guy the opportunity. Because I don't get on Kickstarter to look for the small guy games. I get on Kickstarter to see what that big game is. And what's great about that is while I'm searching for that big game, I'll see that small guy. And I'm like, let me check this out. Let me see how this looks. And then it grabs my attention. So that's why I think it's a genius platform. And I think everybody should be taking advantage of it. I don't know why people get so upset about things because Kickstarter is just the platform. It's you as the company that has to deliver, but it's not Kickstarter that's delaying your manufacturing or delaying your shipping. It's you as the company. So Great idea.
Yeah, that was Chubby Meeple was saying something similar much earlier. He was saying that like big companies like Cool Mini just bring exposure to Kickstarter as a whole, which bring more people in to look at games, which is basically what you were saying. Which is, it was an interesting way to look at it because I had never really thought about it like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I sort of disagree. While your point is a good one and makes a lot of sense, I feel like anybody can make a decent advertising campaign and can do things that might generate hype for their game to kind of offset if the big companies weren't there. But
I don't know. What do you think about the fact that the big companies have Kickstarters just coming out and coming out and coming out and coming out? Do you think that can like overshadow and swallow up the small publishers? Like just there not being enough funds to go around if the big companies are just constantly making stuff? I mean, I see the big companies like trying to figure out how to not have their Kickstarter be at the same time as a Cool Mini or Not one so that it's not overshadowed by it. You know?
The other thing too is, I mean, half of these games that are coming out are $100, over $100.
Yeah.
Just as like a base to entry to get in. So, yeah, especially gamers who are on a budget or frugal gamers are going to be like, oh, I wanted this and it's $150, but this game also came out and I really wanted it, but it's $60 and I don't know that I can swing that. So
yeah,
you're
I guess
just
that's
like,
a good point. So if someone like sees the game and it's like, oh man, that is too expensive, they might search around and find something from a small publisher that they can actually afford or is more in their wheelhouse.
I think my issue with the sort of big companies that are doing it, it seems that they're putting their big games out on Kickstarter, not the ones that might be more experimental or the small games that they might want to take a risk on. It's more the Cool Minis putting out, you know, Green Horde as opposed to like Ethnos or a game that is really good that might have been sort of, I guess, risky for them per se. Whereas they keep coming out with the games that they know are going to sell, like any Eric Lang game or more Zombicide stuff is coming out, and they're like, yeah, this is going to sell millions of dollars worth of stuff, and we're going to let Kickstarter take whatever their percentage is for it, as opposed to trying to use their brand power, their name power, to sell a game that might be a little bit more risky.
Nice.
Agree, disagree.
Do you want me to skip this next question? We've done it before plenty of times. Everybody knows where we stand.
Well, real quick, just hold on to his last point. Here's where I disagree. The Godfather is a huge IP. Absolutely huge.
Yeah.
They could easily, I think, make over $2 million on Kickstarter with The Godfather. Why don't they do that? You know, like Godfather's going to be a big game. I think that they use it for the format that they need to use it for. For example, like a game like Green Horde, where you're going to add all those exclusives and stuff like that. That's the benefit of using Kickstarter for something like that, where you won't necessarily have all the exclusives for a game like The Godfather. But and the other thing that I will say about Green Horde, because we brought that up. Cool Mini or Not, even before they got really big, one of their first big successes in the board game realm was Zombicide Season 1. And they've always, every single thing Zombicide that has come out, they've always done Kickstarter. So it could be for that reason as well that they've only done Kickstarter on Zombicide. But I think it's a great platform for them to use however they want. And Godfather is an example of a time where they don't have to use Kickstarter. Like, we don't need to. We know this IP is so good, it's just going to sell on its own. But
it's fine. I was kidding.
Well, I don't know. I feel like to that point, though, just because they don't do it with Godfather, they didn't do it with Gekko or Modern Art or Ethnos or a lot of the other smaller games that might have been able to benefit from the exposure or just the...
I think it probably because it doesn't
power.
fit their Kickstarter brand, you know? Like, those games literally don't fit their Kickstarter brand, you know?
So it's just about the miniatures and the exclusives then for them at that point.
Yeah, like the giant Kickstarters.
Fair point. That makes sense.
I mean, it's probably smart because it keeps it from confusing their fan base that is on Kickstarter, you know? I don't know.
And I mean, people who are on Kickstarter are more likely to back a game that have minis and bits and bobbles and stuff over one that is just
not just
plain,
a few minis and bits and bobbles, like all of them. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
awesome. So, do we want to have the exclusives rant?
I think we've already had it.
Rollo's exclusives. Me and Matt are pretty lukewarm. I wish we didn't have to have them. Okay, Matt is vehemently opposed.
Yeah. But I already went into that earlier, so.
Yeah. So
I get your point. And the only reason why I do it now is because I get your point, and so I back it because I don't want to miss out on it.
Right.
So
And
I just wish I wasn't
It is
forced to back the
into
game.
that-
It kind of
right.
sucks because, like, if I don't have the money and there's like no way I could have the money, period, I just might as well not even touch the game because people are going to have so much more content than me. I don't know.
If I want to have the full game, I need to pay $120 now as opposed to paying like $80 for the base game later, and then $40 for Fenrir, and then however much the Mystic Troll and the Wolf Man and the other giant are, and you're like, oh god, what is happening? Just give me the full game. Like I don't. Anyway,
Yeah.
never mind.
But I mean, they're making millions of dollars. So
Yep. I mean, it's a great way to generate hype, and that's what they're using it for. So good on them. But
doesn't mean we have to like it because it's about money and not about the consumer. But yeah, what is your favorite game that has come from Kickstarter? Period. And is it all the same game? Because I'm pretty sure I just have to go down my top 10 list and pick the first one that came from Kickstarter, and that's my favorite game from Kickstarter, right?
Yeah. Man, that's. I don't know if I could answer that.
It's not the
Because
same.
honestly,
I mean, I guess if
well,
we're
I don't
using,
think my favorite game from Kickstarter. I've received it yet.
Oh yeah.
Boy, that's a bold claim.
Yeah. I don't think I've received it yet.
Well, you've played it though, right?
No,
Okay.
Then how can it be your favorite?
That's a
because
bold
I'm
claim.
just like super hype about it. I'm super hype about it, and the game I'm talking about is Rising Sun.
You think it's gonna be your new favorite?
I think it's definitely going to be up there. Out of the games that I've currently received, Blood Rage is my favorite. I love Blood Rage. It's a lot of fun. It does a lot of things. I always like Zombicide and stuff, but I think Blood Rage is a better quality game, so I'm not going to say Zombicide, even though I have a lot of their stuff. But I just think Rising Sun, I love the mechanics of the negotiating and the whole idea of, the democracy that's going to happen in the game. That gets me super pumped and excited.
I still think it's insane to say your favorite game is a game you haven't played yet.
No, I didn't say my favorite game. You asked my favorite
No,
Kickstarter
I'm saying
game.
favorite game that has come from Kickstarter.
Well, here's the thing, though. They have constantly proven themselves with games that they called it that are great games, right? And we know people that did play the Rising Sun game, and they were like, yeah, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is what it is. So,
Do we know people?
well, some of the celebrities.
I don't know. Okay. I was gonna say I
some of
didn't,
those-
I didn't talk to a single person.
Well, and also, like, I remember while they were demoing it, asking some people, like, what do you guys think? And they're like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And it wasn't just like one of those, like, hey, I need to say this because a Coolmaneer guy not is standing right there. It was like, no, this is amazing. They love the whole bidding aspect for the battles and stuff like that, and the whole alliance thing and stuff. So I'm just saying, I think I'm going to like Rising Sun more than Blood Rage. So Rising Sun.
Yeah. I remember standing there on Sunday when they had the Rising Sun copy out, and me and Adam were just standing there, like, watching people play. And the Cool Mini or Not guy wasn't paying attention to the game. He wasn't teaching it. He was just talking to the other Cool Mini guys, and there was just a normal dude teaching the game to everybody else. And I was like, bruh, don't play it for the 7th time. Move on.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Made me so mad.
I was like, and then they were like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we're just going to take it and demo it for some other people. It'll be back around, I guess, 3 o'clock. And I was just like, this one guy, I will fight him in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Anywho.
What was I gonna say? My favorite one's still sitting on the table behind me.
Yeah.
It's It's Zaya because I really like Zaya, but space and things. And I told Cody he better be working on the next expansion like right now. But we need more ships.
Man, he's got to do that Tabarua expansion.
I think he's working, or I think he's talked about how he's working on something completely different. But yeah,
that's cool.
He's got to if you're going to keep going.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then once he gets big, and he can afford more staff, then you work on, rebranding and more expansions and stuff. But
yeah,
I think Zaya is starting to get old, not in a bad way, but like people aren't patient, even with expansions.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I love about like Cool Mini or Not. Like, for example, Green Horde is a standalone game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can just order that and play that by itself. You can't just do that with the Zaya expansion. And so it's an expansion, but it's a relevant expansion because you're getting a game every time. Mm-hmm. And so you got to stay relevant.
Which is a lot easier to do for a company that makes millions of dollars and has tons of people than one that's one person.
Mm-hmm.
So, awesome. But yeah.
Man, I guess mine, I don't know. Out of the games I've gotten, there's only like one. It was Secret Hitler is the only one I've gotten so far. It's a pretty solid game.
Games that have come off of Kickstarter.
Yeah, but you own other games, yeah.
Now that you've gotten on Kickstarter. Because I didn't get Zaya on Kickstarter like I wanted to, but I did not have that money at the time. But I followed it like crazy when all the everything that was happening. I was like, when's this game coming out? It's got to come out. Oh my goodness, when's it coming out? And then I finally got it after it came to retail. But yeah. Is there a game that's come off of Kickstarter that you think is amazing?
Blood Rage.
I think it's interesting.
I mean, probably.
Like, Alien Frontiers is like one of the first games that was huge on Kickstarter.
Oh yeah,
and it didn't even go huge compared to anything like these days, but it was like successfully funded, and it was like just a game that sort of, in a way, almost sort of started the Kickstarter board game thing. So it's interesting because that game I still think is solid, but it's like just a dice placement game, and they've had tons of extra Kickstarters since then.
Tim, you're so stupid. Sorry. Tim. Sorry. You guys should check out our Facebook page. Tim took a screenshot of my, I guess my camera went out and it had my old profile pic without my beard. And so he has like a thing on Facebook, like who's this lost child or who's this kid or something like that.
That's awesome. Every time your camera went out, I kept getting worried that your wife came downstairs because she was listening to the podcast and she was going to reprimand you for talking about all the Kickstarters you backed.
If you hear the mic go mute, that's when you need it.
Or we just hear like thumping. Like I was going to hit my mic and make a bunch of noise, but I figured that would probably be bad for the audio.
Oh, man. So, for those who have been keeping up in chat, the Deception Kickstarter is back up because they canceled it because the funding window was a bit long. So,
say what?
So they canceled it and it's back up again if you want to back it.
So we were there for the first time.
Yeah, man. They originally set the backing window for I think like 60 days or something, and they were like, "This is too long," so they went back and did it again for like 26 or whatever.
So we've been doing a podcast long enough for Kickstarter to launch itself twice.
Start, stop, and then start again.
So it's probably time to start wrapping this thing up.
Yeah, it's
been a long show.
Awesome.
Oh,
it's already got
Deception.
29
That's the easy answer. Come on, man. Deception's such a good game.
Deception is
it really is such a game.
And that was one that we were like, that looks good. Like, we should get that. And then you like late pledged for it, Matt, and you were like the first one to get it out of us.
It's just one of those things that like
man,
we
that
have
game
the
is amazing.
We have the designer on. The designer's like, yeah, it's a pretty fun game, and they talk about it for a little bit, and they don't really hype it up like I feel like they should for how the game plays. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, I'll look into it. And I'm like, $30, why not? Let's kick it their way. And then we get it, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, it's definitely not disappointing. Awesome. Well, we stream these podcasts Tuesday night at 9 p.m. at youtube.com/Epic Gaming Night. We want to say thank you so much to our amazing patrons. And our patron of the week is Rob's turn.
Oh, crap. I need to look this up real quick.
I can give you the name if you just want to start with the roll-in.
Listen,
He's
man,
always behind you, Rob. He's always there.
Who
He's always
is Matt?
watching. No.
Oh, this person?
Patron. Yeah.
Let me tell you something about this person. First of all, you want to talk about something that I can rant on in a positive way? It's Kent Parker. If you want to hear me talk about something that gets me excited and gets me going and gets me pumped up, that's freaking Kent Parker. I can't do a negative rant. Kent Parker made Slender Man a child's game. That's how awesome Kent Parker is, because Kent Parker is sort of the Slender Man fans, but now I mean that in such a great way. It's like if Slender Man was Santa Claus. Kent Parker, he's tall. He is, and I've met him, so I know he's male. I know Kent Parker is male.
Solid.
He is the scientist that came up with the aroma of the wood chip cologne that we now use on a regular basis. Kent Parker is the reason why you get up in the morning, because you know if you don't, Kent Parker is going to be standing awkwardly behind you, telling you to do something and be a grown-up and to do what you need to do. Kent Parker is the guy who has an amazing wife, and they feed panda bears, bro. We're friends on Facebook. They feed panda bears. Have you ever fed a panda bear? Kent Parker has, and let me tell you what, when they got done, the panda bear fed them. That's how much the panda bear loved them. The panda bear fed them. Kent Parker is the guy that if you're ever just wanting an aspiration of something that you know you're never going to reach, but you want to try to reach, but it's like reaching for the stars, you can't reach that high. Kent Parker is that star. He will push you to places that you need to go. He will give you the motivation that you're lacking. He is an amazing friend of the podcast. He is that rock and that cornerstone that we're standing on. And I say rock and cornerstone because he's not going to say anything. When you meet him, he's going to say like 10 words to you, and a couple of those words are going to be hi, hello, yes, I'm Kent Parker, and then a couple of other words. But Kent Parker, boom, he's the guy that you can trust. Confirmed male, confirmed amazing, great wife, fed and was fed by a panda bear. Kent Parker, ladies and gentlemen, 2020. If our current president can be president, Kent Parker, next president. Out. Drop the mic.
Superman, Spider-Man for the win.
There we go.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much to all of our other patrons who help support the show and help let us do what we do. And you guys are awesome. If you want to check out our Patreon and maybe have crazy things said about you, or, I mean, you can send me a message and be like, hey, I want to opt out. But
real quick, Tim, you would have to donate a lot for me to do a rant like that for you.
But you can check it out.
That's actually completely untrue, because he did one for Mark Cale, who he vehemently denies his existence of. So,
but okay, but at the same time, though, and
he's contractually obligated.
Mark's a nice guy, but I didn't. Mark's a nice guy, but Mark is not the scientist. He's not the scientist.
The thing I'm worried about is, like, you did the thing and Mark didn't come back this week. So what does that tell
you? He's actually at Rob's house right now. They're having a cookout. Rob just can't let him be seen on camera, because then that invalidates the whole meme.
That's what he's doing. He's doing the dishes.
But
he's
check it out
making
at
s'mores.
Patreon.com/Epic Gaming Night. Thanks, everybody, for hitting us up on this podcast. Make sure to hit us up on Twitter and Instagram and all the things. And we'll see you guys back here next week.
You guys are great. We love you, fans. We love all of you.
Next week, Monday, amazing. Right? It's Monday?
Yes, next week is Monday. We're supposed to be having Jonathan
Aren't you going to be
Gilmore.
gone next week?
Me? No, it's the week after that.
Oh, bro. Okay, real quick. Y'all better get ready, because we're about to have a crazy podcast.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. We're going to talk about all things games.
All right.
All things games. Every type of game.
Oh, God. Woo. So next week, the podcast is on Monday, because we're interviewing Jonathan Gilmore. And the week after that.
Of Dead of Winter and Wasteland Express fame.
Yeah. He's got a bunch of games coming out.
He actually has a lot of stuff coming out. He's got like that Dinosaur Island or something like that, too. He's got a bunch of crazy stuff.
He's got like a small $20 game called like Operation Siberia or something too. That kind of looked interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely super excited to talk about all his stuff.
But then the week after that, Roy is going on a vacation. So
for the first time in over 2 years, like, bro.
Yeah, man. It's just going to be me and Rob.
A long time ago. You needed a break.
Full on, no structure, no organization. full on ADHD, shiny thought all the way through. It's probably just going to be us talking to chat the whole night.
But I really do need to teach you how to actually do it, Matt.
Can I say, I feel like it's going to be a top 5 episode of all time. And I think we may have a local guest or two on the show.
A local guest?
A local guest.
AJ literally just put in the chat, and AJ.
That's right.
Dude, that would be awesome. AJ's the best. But I'd be sad if AJ come on the podcast when I wasn't there. I see how it is. I see how it is, AJ.
Listen, if you're on while AJ's on, you'll get mad at me that I just randomly laugh at AJ. So
I feel like I'm a little okay now.
You know, you've gotten better, but I will tell you,
here's the thing. Once upon a time, I dreamed about being on the Dice Tower Network, and once I gave up those dreams, things have been a lot better.
Once you gave up those dreams, you got on the Dice Tower Network.
But the podcast isn't, so
not yet. But
that's all that matters.
I'm not even worried about that. So
you're the face Epic Gaming Night. It's all right.
Yeah. I mean, Mark Cale still doesn't know who I am or anything like that. So,
Rob, if it makes you feel any better, you were far more recognizable than I am. I just look like a generic, large, hairy dude at like a gaming convention.
There is nothing.
It's just like that guy looks like he doesn't shower. Right?
You are an amazing individual, and you are awesome, and you are not generic. You are not generic. The only part that's generic on you is the part that you leave behind in the toilet. That's it. Everything else, amazing.
I don't even know what's happening right now.
I disagree. I feel like those are the only exceptional things that I do.
No.
Man, what is it? We should let's just me, you, AJ, and Hector just get together and play a game on Tuesday, and then just do the podcast from one camera.
That I don't have a problem with that.
The podcast is actually just us playing the game and interacting with chat so that Roy doesn't get too mad because we're not like, hey, did you know President Trump is totally an asshole?
Yeah.
That guy.
Well, no, we will, Roy, I promise we will talk about board games. We'll talk about board game companies. I'll go on a rant about something. It'll be, it'll be a good show. It'll be something that you would be willing to put up.
Tim says do that and play Blood Rage.
Bro, quit saying play Blood Rage.
With hot sauce.
Hey,
we get it. You like Blood Rage.
Awesome, guys. Well,
there's
are we ready to turn off the stream? What do you think?
Yeah, I should have...
Cake Caesar, you're amazing. We're not doing anime, though, bro. You're the only one that could do anime. We're not doing anime.
I don't know. Me and Matt could say a couple things about anime.
He scored a 26 out of 30.
We could just have a rage again where we're all on the podcast and Rob talks about how he hates turn-based role-playing games, and then we just all stare angrily at his window in the screen like last time we had AJ on.
Anime, all right, anime is nice, but never mind. You know what?
You can't win.
I can't. I'm not going to try to get into.
We should have a contest where we do anime intros.
Okay.
Where we do anime intros. I think we all like anime except maybe Rob.
It's not that I don't like it, but I'm just if I want to watch a child's cartoon,
get out of here! Turning off the podcast.
It's just really weird, the obsession that the Japanese artists have with obscure body parts and the fact that everybody looks like a 14-year-old boy. Like they all look like, even the girls look like 14-year-old.
We're going to lose so many subscribers for this. Our entire otaku following is going to drop us now.
If that's this, I imagine our entire otaku following is like our same Greek following. There's probably 2 or 3.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z, good anime.
I disagree.
Samesies.
Dragon Ball Z is the show that never ends.
Dragon Ball Z. Now, see, I only saw up until like Cell came and they had that tournament where
Cell games.
Yeah, Cell games. That was it.
Roy, I was really hoping you would
know what happened after that? You know what happened after that? I turned like 16 and I was like, oh, let me watch this stuff.
What were you hoping I was going to do, Matt?
I was hoping you were going to be like, yeah, man, Dragon Ball Z, the thing that never ends. Anyway, next time on the podcast, and then just close it.
To be continued. Dun, 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 dun.